This is a black fat-tailed scorpion, one of the world's most deadliest scorpions to ever exist, and after murdering hundreds of innocent ants, this killer scorpion has been sentenced to death row. However, for this colony of big-headed ants, finding and capturing a deadly scorpion is way more difficult than you might think. With a venomous sting powerful enough to kill a human being and armor so strong it's virtually impenetrable, I fear this colony might not be able to come out on top this time. But in order to see and understand what happens next, we have to take a look at this from the ant's perspective. As the sun rose in the morning, the awful smell of our dead brethren filled the still air. This could have only been the work of a killer unlike anything we've ever encountered. After our previous ambush had failed us, we were quick to realize that this was a much bigger threat than previously imagined. This formidable beast was not to be mislabeled. It had gigantic lobster claws and a venomous stinger which had the ability to instantly grave any of us. Unfortunately, Platoon A encountered this firsthand, not knowing the consequences they would reap soon after. But this wasn't the end. Oh no, this was just the beginning. If this scorpion thought 100 ants was nothing, our queen had something else in store. We may have lost the battle, but we will not lose this war. Thanks to our last survivor, we got word that our enemy lays asleep in the ancient ruins just past the Great Mountains. This information was quickly issued to the Queen, and with the help of her generals, they formulated the best plan I've ever heard. Here's how it goes. In the beginning, we send out a small search party. Platoon B. They are the spies. Their only job is to go to the top of the mountain and report back on the findings. And if our giants still lay asleep, we attack head on. This time, however, we're deploying everything we've got. All of our soldiers and even some of the generals will be joined together on the battlefield. The plan was to overwhelm our enemy with our immeasurable numbers. While we may be small individually, as an army, we can attain anything. So by swarming this giant in its sleep, we should end off with a casualty-free victory. But this was just a plan, and what actually happened was far from it. After our queen gave the word to the generals, the battle plan was in full effect, and Platoon B, the first general, was deployed, followed by several workers as backup. They traveled through the mountains past their fallen soldiers and made their way into the ruins. They were now in search of the killer scorpion, but what they didn't know was that while they were on the hunt for the scorpion, it was silently watching their every move, plotting its own way of attack. For a while, it stood still undetected by our scouts, but when it went to reposition, it was spotted and the first fight broke out. While trying not to alarm the entire colony, the scorpion descended from the ruins. He ran past several scouts trying to go undetected, but it was already too late. Now that the scouts and first general were alarmed by the scorpion's presence, it soon would be time to move on to stage 2. The original plan was to wait for the scorpion to fall asleep, but with the scorpion taken by surprise and unable to plot its next stage of attack, we knew this opportunity was way too good to pass up. Our first general had already joined in on the attack, and some of the other scouts returned to the nest in order to relay the message to the queen. Shortly after, the queen prepared to deploy all of Platoon C, and with reinforcements now on the way, it was time for us to follow through with our plan. Platoon C's first soldier exited the nest, and soon after, the rest of Platoon C followed. Around this time, the scorpion had already returned to the ruins attempting to recover from Platoon B's attack. Back at the nest entrance, Platoon C was assembling themselves, and once they were ready, Platoon B chased the scorpion into Platoon C, where together they ambushed the scorpion. Immediately, they all began to swarm. The scorpion had no idea of what to do. There were ants everywhere and seemingly nowhere to escape. With so many of us on the battlefield now, not even the ruins beyond the Great Mountains were safe. The battle continued for several hours. There were times where we almost lost the upper hand, like when the scorpion broke free for the first time and almost escaped. However, the beast soon made a grave mistake, and once he fell onto his back, we were able to regain control once again. Slowly but surely, we tired out our enemy. But when they had the chance, the soldiers and generals were sent to remove his legs. One by one, each leg was removed, and by the next sunrise, all that was left were the hollow remains of what used to be our worst enemy. Unfortunately, we lost several more of our own, but vengeance was finally served, and our queen can now feast and rest easy, knowing that the killer scorpion had been defeated and brought back home for the colony to devour.
I went by your house. than just compromise. It's the chance of your life.